Hey there folks, Professor Austin here. I want to show you a great way to use Complete Anatomy to help you study for the lab part of your course. What we're going to use here as an example is the skeletal system. You know, for every organ system you have a list of structures you're required to find, and I'm going to begin by using the upper limb as our study point. We're going to select, in this case, the humerus. Up here in the breadcrumb trail across the top, I'm going to pick upper limb left and hide everything else by clicking Hide Others. What I want to do next is label all of the major bones, which are, again, in the list of things for you to learn from your lab book. I'm going to turn on Tools and grab Labeling by picking Labels, and I'm just going to simply click on the things that I know are required. For instance, clavicle. That's one you've got to learn. Also in your lab list, scapula, also humerus, and right now all I'm doing is clicking and tagging these individual bones and just making sort of a neat page. There's the radius. I'm going to put that one on this side, and we'll leave the hand. We'll do that one separately. I've actually finished labeling all the things I want right now, so I'm going to click Done, and once I click Done, there's actually something else available on each of these labeled. That little dot 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 shows up on each one of them as you click it. And if we look at something like the humerus and open that up, it expands and tells us more about that bone. For instance, the greater tubercle is projection that's lateral to the head and posterior lateral to the lesser tubercle. So lots of information is here, and you can close that, collapse it down if you want to. Now, here's something that's quite powerful. You can save the screen, or in your own profile, you can come in and create groups. This is really handy if you happen to be working with a study group. So you can create groups of up to 5 people. The way you would do that is maybe click on the plus sign and call this by a name you want to use it. Let's call it My Study Group. And you can describe it however you care to do that. People I study with. Maybe that's Mary, Jim, Dana, and whoever you want to add. You can make this an open group. Actually, you can't. That's coming soon. But we'll have to make it a private group. You can put an avatar, a picture for that if you want to do that. And I'm going to click Create Group here. And now we've done that. If we would like to add people to this, you want to put in an email address. We could say Fred Flintstone at gmail.com and send that person an invitation. Invite via email. I'm actually not going to invite Fred Flintstone because, hey, he doesn't exist in this particular world, but there you go. So now that we've done this, actually I'm going to put in one person that I know does exist. And there's a person. We'll invite that person. So we've done that. I'm going to close this. I can, if I want to, add an icon representing this group. I've got a neat little thing I've made already, so what the heck? No, not me! We'll check Other, and I'll grab this little study group icon that I made. That'll be it, and that'll now represent this study group. We'll update the information on that. Shut this down, and I'm going to close the profile, and here's our screen we've made. Let's move this label over here just to make it a bit neater. And what I want to do next is save this screen. That way somebody doesn't have to come recreate all these labels. I'm going to save that. We're going to call this Bones of Upper Limb. It's not the abdomen. That happens to be upper limb. And I'll save this to my screen. We'll describe this if we care to do that. And that now has been tucked away safely in my screens. Now, what I can do with this bones of the upper limb if I want is I can actually click the dot 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 and this first icon, and I can share it with my study group. The power here is, let's say that I'm going to make this one. I'm going to have my buddy Jim make the bones of the hand, and we can kind of share the load, and everybody helps out everybody else by making all these handy study guides. And of course, you can still zoom in on these things, pinch and zoom, rotate. You can fully edit this nice little study piece. I'm going to close this down and let's see what Jim might be doing. And now we've got another time in the course, and my buddy Jim is going to work on the digestive system for us. In particular, I want Jim to label the parts of the large intestine we have to learn. So we're going to turn off the skeletal system for one thing. We don't need that. Since he's only working on the large intestine, I'm going to select a part of that and up here in the breadcrumb trail, pick on large intestine and hide everything else. That for me is a really handy tool that helps you focus on just the stuff you need. Now, he needs to put some labels on. I actually do want to drag this over a little bit more toward the middle and get our labeling tool out. I'll get my lab book out and see what I have to learn. I know I've got to learn the cecum. Oh, quick little tip here, so you don't have to drag these labels around as much. Down at the bottom, you can put the labels to the left or the right of where you click. While I'm on the left-hand side, I like to do left. While I'm on the right-hand side, I like to do right. So I want to learn the appendix. That's right there. This would be the ascending colon. This would be the transverse colon. I'll switch over to right side labels now. This would be the descending colon. Down here where we have a little twist is going to be the sigmoid colon. Then we move on down to the rectum. And down here, that's still the rectum. Down here we have the internal anal sphincter. And let's say that's all I need to learn. So I'm going to stop labeling. And I've got this ready for my study group. I'll make the labels a little bit neater just because, hey, why not? You can always reposition these later, as can any member of the study group who shares this. But I kind of like making a neat picture. Keep in mind, this is completely rotatable. I don't have to do anything. I can zoom. I can come in and remove pieces if I want to while I'm studying. We'll fade that for a minute so we can kind of see toward the inside. But what I really want to do is save this screen for the rest of my study group in order to be able to study. So we'll say large intestine regions. I didn't intend to have that all caps, but it's kind of neat. This is going to be in the abdomen, and I'll save it to my screens. I can also directly just put it right in the study group right here. So we'll save that, and now everybody in my study group has got access to that. Now here we see somebody else, in this case maybe my study partner Mary, studying on her phone. She can open up the menu. Okay, that's not Mary, that's actually me. And if I look at notifications, I can see that I've been invited to study groups. I'm going to select Join Group under my study group. And you know what, somebody else invited me to join a different study group. I'll join that one as well. And now I can, by the way, if you have any updates, you may want to update that and click Synchronize there. And we have added everything back in. And now I can come back over to my groups and see what they've done. My study group has got another group member, a couple of screens we can take a look at. My study group. And under my study group, I've got two separate things here. One is bones of the wrist that somebody else made. We'll take a look at that in a minute. Here's the bones of the upper limb that my buddy made. We can take a look at that. And we have all of those bones that were made there, all labeled, all ready to go. So there's the scapula and some information about that bone. There's the humerus and some information about that bone. There's the ulna, some information about that bone. And it looks like Terry Austin did that one. So yay, thanks Terry, I appreciate that. One more point to consider, and I'll wind this down. There's actually a lot that's already been put together for you by the company who made your app. So one more time, click on Library, and if you look for 3D for Medical under my screens, there's lots and lots and lots of good stuff here. So 3D for Medical gets us to a bunch. There are bones of the skull, there are foramina of the skull. AMP1 people will really appreciate this foramina thing. You have a page that's pre-done, ready to go, and if you click on any of these, like the foramen rotundum, there that is right there, or the foramen ovale is right there, or foramen spinosum. I know that as you start studying these, they can be kind of a pain. There's the external acoustic meatus. There on the underside is the foramen magnum. This sort of stuff is pre-done. You don't have to go do a lot of work to find many of these. If you simply click the library and explore, there's lots. Not only do you have these screens, there are also some recordings that will help walk you through a few very good things. The carpal bones of the hand, for instance. This is about a 1-minute recording. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but you can kind of see as this wakes up. There's lots ready to go.
The wrist is composed of 8 carpal bones arranged into 2 distinct rows, a proximal row and a distal row. Bones that make up the proximal row include the scaphoid, the lunate, the triquetral, and the pisiform.
By the way,
make up the distal
while
row
this is playing,
include
this is also rotatable. You can stop this at any point. Rotate, turn, zoom out, zoom in, and then you can pick up where you left off just by clicking play.
Include the trapezium, the trapezoid.
We'll leave that for now, but my point is there's lots of material that's ready to go that's going to help you study. Might as well use that instead of reinventing the wheel entirely. I just wanted to be sure you were aware that these things were in the app. Good luck with studying for class, for the test, for all you need to do to succeed in the course. I hope this has been helpful. Take care. Bye-bye.